Okay, so today we're going to make our ocean silhouette. So the first thing that you're going to need is something that you can trace for your circle in the center. Now when you trace this though, I want you to trace it very light, because honestly, you really want the shading. I'm using a can, okay? But when you do the tracing around, make sure it's really light, because you don't want it to be very outliney. You want your shading to be really what makes the circle show up. So I know you guys can barely see that. Let me see if this makes it show up more. No, that does not. So I'm going to go a little bit darker just so y'all can see it. Okay, I know it's light, but that's how you have to do it. Okay, now I'm also going to very lightly draw in where my color is going to change. So, I mean, it's not going to change. I'm still going to use this color pencil, but it's going to get darker as it goes out. So I want to make sure I kind of give myself some different lines so I know where it should be starting to get darker. Okay, and it's going to continue all the way off your paper. Okay, I know out towards this outer edge it's going to be darker, so it's okay if my lines are a little bit darker for my little sketch here. Okay, so the darkest areas are going to be the really outside edge. Okay, so right, this is going to stay white right here, very light as it gets darker. Okay, so I'm going to start in the middle because I want to start off really light. I don't want to get dark really quick. Obviously, it's going to have to kind of match your line here. So hopefully you didn't get too dark when you started out with your tracing. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle either, but you want it to be circular because it's kind of representing the sun. This is an underwater silhouette. So basically we're looking from underneath the water up towards the sky where the sun is. Okay, so I guess it could be the moon, but I'm saying sun because I think it would penetrate the water more. So you can rotate your paper if it makes it easier for you to shade it in smoothly. This is a value scale, okay? A value scale is where we're focusing on value, okay? This whole background of this art piece is focusing on value, okay? So value is the relative lightness or darkness of an object, and for this, you know, we're going to be doing a value scale where it's getting darker as it gets farther away from the central circle. Okay. Alright, I'm just kind of shading in this one section, and then what I'm going to do is I got to go around and make sure that it's getting darker as it's going out. There's some spots like right here looks a little bit darker than out here, and so you just want to make sure that it's getting darker as it gets away, not, you know, darkest towards the center, because that won't make much sense. So I want to make sure that this outer edge is pretty much a little bit darker than the inner edge. Sometimes it's good to get, like, you know, just a base down of a shade and then start getting darker afterwards, because otherwise you don't want to get too dark too fast, because if you go too dark too fast, then you don't really have much farther to go, and we want there to be a nice shift from the light to the dark. Okay, so I think that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to go on to the next shade. So as I am, it's going to get darker for this one. But I want it to be a smooth transition. So you're going to notice that I'm going to keep going back and forth from, you know, this light shade and kind of blending it in with the darker. And I chose a purple. You guys can choose pretty much any color you want, but I wouldn't go with black. Don't go with anything too dark, because we want to be able to have our silhouette really stand out. So for this, I'm using purple. I could have used a teal or a blue, and that would have worked well too. You don't want to go with anything too light either, because you want to be able to have that, that ability to get really dark around the outside edge. I'm getting darker towards this outside edge because I really want it to have that transition. It is looking a little bit sketchy as far as, like, it's not blending very easily. That's better. See how that's kind of going from that light out? That's what I want. So that's what my goal is right there. So I've still got some lining going on here, but that's okay. And like I said before, it's okay. Start off a little bit lighter and you can always get darker. Because if you get too dark too fast, then you're kind of... Okay, and one thing is it's not just how dark you're coloring. It's also... So it's between the pressure that you're putting on the paper as well as the layering. So you'll notice, like, if you wanted to draw really dark, you can just press harder with your color pencil. But also layering can help it get to that darkness without going too dark too fast. Okay, so that's what you're going to see. A lot of what I'm doing is just kind of going back and forth back over it to make it a little bit darker, because I don't want, you know, like I keep repeating, I don't want to get too dark too fast, because then by the time I get out to here, I won't be able to get darker. And even though I created these lines, which you can kind of see, I'm trying to see if I can hold it up the way you can see it. I created these kind of lines here going around. I don't want it to be choppy. I don't want it to go from white to light to the next level to the next level. I want it to be like a smooth, you know, kind of glow in the center, but my pencil got a sharp edge. You can see it kind of got scribbly there because I'm trying to use kind of an angle so that it covers more. And so when I accidentally rotated my pencil, it had a really sharp edge from the way I was shading at an angle, and it made a scribble mark. So now I'm going to have to kind of conceal that, because you don't want it to look scribbly. Okay, I'm just kind of going back in and blending the levels together. So you see how it's starting to get that real nice glow about it. I'm going to continue around as I get darker. So this is my next level. So even I'm not starting off real dark, but it'll get there. You're going to need, if you're using color pencil like I am, you're going to need a pencil sharpener. If you're using crayon, just be prepared that you're going to be probably going through that crayon. And I'm blending it in with that previous layer, because like I said, I don't want it to look like it's just a choppy, I want it to blend. Okay, it's still kind of choppy right in here, so I'll just add a little bit of this dark in. See, that's getting a nice transition. Going back in and blending it out a little bit. Okay, keep going. I am probably going to have to sharpen this one up pretty soon, because it is getting pretty worn. It used to be right on the swivel, and now it is not. Okay, I'm going to pause this for a minute so I can get this sharpened up.